Guys, the Goblin is coming.
What do you mean?
Texas. Okay. Hear me out. At least it's consistent. I'm kind of just going to show you guys what's going on and let you come to your own conclusions. I'm not actually going to... I'm gonna try not to make any kind of actual argument. But Texas seems to,
got a psychological problem with women.
But hey, what do I know? I had to break out the beer for this one. For anybody who is interested. Moosehead Lager. I'm a fan. It's not like super high end, but it's also not like trash. It's somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle of affordable beers. I was drinking my tea already, but I needed a beer for this one. Okay, so this is an article. The title of the article is a little bit extreme, but in the time of clickbait, of course it is. What else are you gonna have? But pro-life Texas lawmakers introduce bill imposing death penalty for abortion. Okay, so Texas has the death penalty, and like I said, this is a little bit of a misnomer because the bill isn't to introduce imposing that. The bill is... That's the end result of the bill. The bill isn't like, oh, we should kill people that do this. No, the bill is, hey, we shouldn't do this, and if you do, the equivalent crime is something that can be punishable by death. So I'm not a big fan of the title of this article, but I mean, it is what it is. Like clickbait is a thing. So just to be wary, as always, be wary of titles. Inkboy for Two said, nothing says I am pro-life than the death penalty. Yeah, the irony is not lost. I will boot Puck in a little bit. He's just laying on the floor right there. Okay, so let's take a look and see what the article actually says. I have a bunch of tabs open because I already basically sifted through all of the links that are in here, because they were actually... One thing I do like about this article is that it is very thorough. It's very thorough. This protest is from 2016. Okay. A Republican lawmaker in Texas has introduced a bill that would make all abortions in the state illegal, with the punishment being the death penalty for anyone performing or undergoing the medical procedure. Texas Republican State Representative Brian Slayton said in a press release that his bill would showcase how his party truly feels about the practice. Quote, "It's time Republicans make it clear that we actually think abortion is murder," end quote. Slayton's statement said in a tweet about the proposal. Slayton also claimed the bill would, quote, "guarantee the equal protection of the laws to all Texans, no matter how small." So... Here's the press release that they link to. So let's take a look and see what it says. I don't know if you guys can read that very well. I'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. Representatives Slayton files legislation to abolish abortion in Texas. Austin, Texas. Today, Representative Brian Slayton, House of District 2, filed legislation that will abolish abortions in the state of Texas. The bill, HB 3326, will end the discriminatory practice of... discriminatory? Discriminatory? I don't know if that's a good word for it, but okay. The discriminatory practice of terminating the life of innocent children, and will guarantee the equal protection of the laws to all Texans. As the Declaration of Independence makes clear, governments are instituted primarily to secure God-given rights. The Declaration of Independence is about God-given rights? Is it? I don't know. The principle among them being the right to life. The right to life is the first among all natural rights and must be protected to the utmost. Any law, rule, I get kind of like about it when you've got people who are like don't have you're living in a state that doesn't have like a livable minimum wage and doesn't have very good like childcare and stuff like this, are like, no, everybody has the right, it's the most natural right to be able to live, and then don't do anything to help you maintain that life in any way, shape, or form. It's not even like you'd think that the basic would be, you have the right to live, therefore meaning you can't starve. Like, we're going to do everything in our power to make it so that people don't starve. We're going to do everything in our power to make it sure that people have a roof of some kind over their head and have the basic necessities like water, food, maybe electricity for heat. Texas, are you okay? I am concerned for you. Listen, your life must be protected to the utmost. Any law, rule, or court decision that is opposed to this self-evident truth is not only unconstitutional but contrary to natural law and must be rejected. Quote, for decades, the state of Texas has allowed the discriminatory, barbaric, and murderous practice of aborting babies in the womb, and it must come to an end. It is time for Texas to protect the natural right to life for the tiniest and most innocent Texans. And this bill does just that, end quote, Representative Slayton said. Don't Christians think that everybody's born with sin? And the reason I say that is because, like, I pulled up his Twitter. He's, like, Christian conservative. So, like, that's not a misnomer there. That's, like, that's what he says. Anyway. Texas is not okay. I'm sorry. Texas, please. In the last several years, Texas has fallen to 20th in the nation on the Americans United for Life national rankings. Democrat states like Michigan and Louisiana are more pro-life than Texas currently. Well, I mean, considering, I don't know if it has anything to do with, abortion, but considering the current affairs with your the blizzard you had there, I don't know what to tell you. Slayton concluded saying, quote, it's time Republicans make it clear that we actually think abortion is murder. We have to lead, and the time is now. Unborn children are dying at a faster rate in Texas than covfefe patients. But Texas isn't taking the abortion crisis seriously. There's no way that's true. I don't believe that for a second. There's no way that's even remotely true. I didn't actually read this whole thing for like this particular bit. Like, I looked at the tweets, but I didn't actually read through the press release. There's no way that Texas is currently like nuking babies. So like I said, I'm not gonna necessarily have that conversation right now about like whether or not I'm if you want to consider an unborn fetus a baby and at whatever life begins at conception, I don't care. I think that's fine. If you want to believe that, whatever. If you want to have that discussion and that argument, totally fine. That is a totally separate conversation than unborn children are dying faster at a faster rate in Texas than covfefe patients. I need a citation required, please. Can anybody confirm that that's even remotely close? Because I ain't buying it. Similar legislation was filed in the 86th legislature. The bill was referred to the Judiciary and Civil Jurisprudence Committee, where it died. Just like all those unborn babies. What? There's no way. There's no way. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm gonna need a citation for that bit. There's no way this is true. There's I can't even highlight it. There's no way. I don't know. No. I'm just rejecting that by fiat because I'm gonna need some of the comments here are pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I'll let you guys take a look at those if you want. The link to the article, which has the links in it to all of these, it's all there. Let's go back to regular size. There we go. So, this is, he said in a tweet about the proposal. Here's his tweet about the proposal. Today I filed HB 3326 to abolish abortion in Texas. The bill will end the discriminatory practice of terminating the life of innocent children and will guarantee the equal protection of the laws to all Texans, no matter how small. So they're framing this as we're going to protect these people by basically threatening these other people. And then there's the... You know, I guess if you believe that abortion is murder, then I can kind of understand why you would want to abolish it, but there are ways to do that without this kind of a legislation. Like, this kind of legislation isn't going to help. Your best way to have less abortions is to have higher education in safe sex, have better resources for like single parents, whether they're the mom or the dad, better social stimulus resources, stuff like that. So Layton's bill, HB 3326, would charge any person who has an abortion, as well as any provider who performs the medical procedure, with assault or homicide. Those charges carry with them extreme punishments, including the death penalty in the state, and are in stark opposition to the stated pro-life position anti-abortion activists say that they hold. Yes, the irony of saying, hey, if you have an abortion, we're going to kill you, because we're pro-life, is not lost on most people. Godless Scummer for 5 says, I'll quote a great Texan called Bill Hicks. Quote, people suck, and it's easier to kill them before they're born than it is afterwards, end quote, winky face. I mean, if you went back in time, would you kill baby Hitler? Dapper Dino, if PolitiFact is to be believed, current average abortion rate in Texas is slightly higher than the current 7-day moving average for Texas Covfefe 19 deaths, so it is technically true. No! Really? Current average abortion rate is slightly higher than current 7-day moving average for Texas Covfefe deaths. There's really? I don't know. I'm skeptical. I don't know, something about that. I'd have to actually look into it and see if that's even remotely true. But my little red flag is like something about this. All right. So yeah. Where's the book? So, because Texas has the death penalty, and they're going to charge people with something that can have the death penalty. Now, it's not saying that you will get the death penalty but it's going to charge you with crimes that can lead to the death penalty. So, just to be clear about that, because again, I understand it like this. It is a little bit sensationalized, and I don't know if that's necessarily fair. But it is definitely a possibility that it would lead down that direction. I'm trying to be fair. It wouldn't have been true a month ago. The covfefe death rate has varied wildly over the last few months. Oh, okay. I get you. So this is like, Texas is in like a downturn, and so that makes sense then. The bill would ban all abortions from the point of fertilization and would not make any exceptions for rape or incest, though it would allow the procedure when a pregnant person's life is at risk. The bill would also grant immunity to any individual who gives evidence or testifies against a person whom they have helped in obtaining an abortion. The bill would also grant immunity to any individual who gives evidence or testifies against a person whom they have helped get. So you could be like, hey, I need help because of this situation, and if that person rats you out and testifies against you, they're immune, even if they help. Bro, God. Oh no, this is ripe with nonsense. This is ripe with nonsense. So, doesn't matter. The only way you can have an abortion or get that performed is if your life is at risk. But I'm assuming they don't mean your life as in your financial situation or your standard of living being at risk. They mean like life or death currently, not life or death in a year or two, and they're not going to help you with any kind of childcare or any kind of medical aftercare that you may need, or any kind of financial support that you may need down the line to be able to afford this child they're going to force you to have. So it could kill you down the line, but if it's not going to kill you right now, no abortion for you. Oh God, this is The official Twitter account for the Texas Democrat Party sent out a tweet blasting the proposal. That would be this: Texas Republicans filed a bill to abolish and criminalize abortions. Yeah, it's another thing to try and abolish it, but to abolish it and criminalize it, potentially leaving women and physicians who perform the procedure to face the death penalty. The right to choose is a human right, period. Yeah, see, this is a far better way of putting it, I think, than this article does when it comes to the death penalty stuff. I think that's a little bit sensationalized. It's like potentially leaving women and physicians who perform the procedure to face the death penalty. So they may not, depending on the situation, but it's still, you don't need to sensationalize it to realize that this is not okay. And so I don't think sensationalizing it is in your favor. Like, maybe try not to do stuff like that. Reproductive rights are human rights. So, yeah. Texas quote. I just read this. Abortion is a favorite topic for Slayton. Why is this guy? Not this guy. This guy. This guy. Yeah. What? Why is this guy have abortion as a favorite topic, do you guys think? What, like... Why do you think this dude is so interested in other people's... I don't know. I wonder. Abortion is a favorite topic for Slayton, a freshman legislator in Texas. He previously led an effort to try and halt any legislation in the state from moving forward, including naming of roads, bridges, until the issue of abortion was addressed. Now, I'm pretty sure I had opened this. Yeah, I've got that one. That's this one right here. So here's this. Texas lawmaker has filed a bill that will abolish and criminalize abortions, leaving women and physicians who perform abortions to face criminal charges and could carry the death penalty. The legislation filed Tuesday by Representative Brian Slayton does not include exceptions for rape and incest. It does exempt ectopic pregnancies that seriously threaten the life of the woman, quote, when a reasonable alternative to save the lives of both and mother and the unborn child is unavailable. So, like, what does that mean? Like a 75% risk? What's the risk level you're talking about there at that point? So, like, where's the tipping point? Is it acceptable at 50, if you've got a 50-50 of the mother surviving? Is it a 75% chance? Is it an 85% chance? What risk are you saying that the woman has to take on her life? What's the risk that you're saying? What's because, like, complications can happen anywhere throughout a pregnancy, at any point throughout a pregnancy. So what is the risk? Because last I looked, this was a year or two ago, but for a first world country, America has a ridiculously high mortality rate for pregnancy. So what percentage? 5? If you have a 5% chance of dying, are you allowed to get an abortion? Or is it, like, what? You have to be clear about these kinds of things, because no, you have a 5% chance of living? No, you can't have it. Like, what is this? Quote, it's time for Texas to protect the natural right, blah, 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 blah. Similar measures have made in the past have been filed by State Rep Tony, blah, 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 blah. Health and Safety, 2017, the legislation did not receive a hearing. So this is what it was. They did in the past, and it got kicked out. In 2019, a related bill from Tinderholt drew nearly 8 hours of public testimony. Security concern that year after he said the bill would not move out of the committee he chaired for a vote of the full House. The bill died in the committee. Under the bill filed on Tuesday, women who receive an abortion and physicians, the bill required to give evidence or testify about offenses involving the death or quote, bodily injury to a unborn child would offer immunities to those. Yeah, so that's the immunity bit. The bill bans abortions starting at fertilization, also instructs the state attorney general to monitor and to, quote, direct a state agent to enforce these laws regardless of any contrary federal statute, regulation, treaty, order, or court decision. Wow. So what, are you gonna have SWAT busting into hospitals? Like, what does that even mean? David Thompson. Oh, David Thompson is correcting me. Pretty sure this bill says that both the mother and the child have to die before abortion is allowed. I mean, it kind of does say that. I can't imagine being, like, having SWAT. I'm like, let's say I'm 3 months pregnant. I'm having a hard time because pregnancy is difficult and I'm having a bad day. And I've got SWAT busting down my door to make sure I'm still pregnant. I know that's a bit extreme. That probably wouldn't be the case, but it's talking about the state instructs attorney general to monitor and to, what are you gonna get the attorney general specifically to monitor? Like, be like, listen, we need to take all the pregnant ladies and we need to dump them all in this building here so that we can have security cameras on them to make sure. Again, I'm being a little bit extreme for the. I'm being funny. I'm not. But oh god, like, how would you do this? By what means are you going to monitor and to direct a state agency to enforce those laws? How? And then regardless of any contrary federal statute, regulation, treaty, order, or court decision. I don't know, like, I don't know how you would enforce that. But hey, what do I know? Okay, moving on. It's unlikely that Slayton's bill will advance very far, as previous legislative efforts with similar goals have failed in recent years. An anti-abortion bill in 2017 failed to receive any hearings at all, and in 2019 a similar bill died in committee after several hours of public input. I don't know how does Texas manage to get, this was the legislation, by the way, Bill HB 948 is the one that they're talking about from 2017. So if you are curious, they actually put a link to the bill directly. So there's that if you're interested. I'll put this one directly in the chat also, so that way it's there. Like, how does somebody like this get in? Clearly this is not something that people want, right? Like the public, how do you end up with people that are not doing what the public wants and what the public is interested in, and is instead doing this kind of nonsense instead of focusing on like the a little bit more pressing current issues? I mean, if you the only thing that I can say to this is that at least it's consistent if you think abortion is murder. If you think abortion is murder, then it makes sense to do everything in your power to prevent abortions. But again, like I said, preventing abortions, making something illegal and criminalizing it like this isn't the best way to move forward with something like abortions. The best way to, because the thing is, I'm pretty sure the pro-choice people aren't pro-abortion. They're not like, yeah, everybody just go get abortions. No, they're pro-healthcare type things and usually bodily autonomy. But you could easily work together to find ways to mitigate the number of abortions if you think your state is having too many. If your state's like, listen, we want to have no abortions, abolishing it isn't the way to go about that. The way to go about that is sexual education and like more money and effort and resources going into young child care and benefits to single parents and the education system, stuff that's like social services. Social services is where you want to put your money. But I mean, you've got the conservative Republican government that doesn't seem to want to put any money into any social services because that's socialism. It's like, this is how you get what you want, though. I'm so confused. Rez for 50 said, can we call pro-lifers what they are, pro-birth? Beyond the birth of an infant, these same people could not give less of a shit what happens to a child beyond that point. Thankfully, 2 similar bills prior to this have been utterly wrecked. Yeah, I don't imagine this is gonna go anywhere, but it's kind of a bizarre thing to think about. I like to call them anti-choice, just because I think it kind of makes them mad, and I kind of like poking that bear a little bit, but I think the abortion bills are a deflection from their failure to regulate their power grid, too. There's always a pattern. Well, I mean, if they're so pro-life, you'd think they'd get their power stuff in order so that way, people wouldn't die because of a blizzard. Okay, where was I? Right here. Here we go. But the bill is representative of a series of other bills across the nation that are seeking to impose extreme limits on abortion. And it is extreme. I would agree with that. I think that's accurate. It is an extreme bill. And it's possible that his proposal could go beyond those other 2 bills. 14 states throughout the U.S. have seen Republican legislators propose similar plans to ban abortion outright. It is hoped by these lawmakers that enacting these laws will lead to lawsuits, which in turn could result in the U.S. Supreme Court taking them up and possibly overturning the 1973 Roe v. Wade abortion rights decision. Because that's what it's always about, right? They're always about, no, we gotta overturn this thing that happened in 1973. Why don't you just accept it and work around it? So, like, work within the system. Like, I understand if you want to make changes, and I understand if you want to ban stuff like this, but banning people from something versus getting less of that thing aren't the same thing. There's more than one way to skin a cat. You don't have to ban abortion all the way to lower the number of abortions you're having, as I've already discussed. I think if there's somebody who has like a little bit more education on sort of either legislation or maybe a little bit more in social sciences and like how that would be budgeted or how you could build that, I would love to have a discussion with somebody who would actually know how to maybe make a budget proposal to say like, hey, we want to change the budget to this, and here's the effect that budget would have, and see what happens if you propose something that will change whatever social services are available, and see what effect that would have, right? Because there are places that have done stuff like that before. I do believe the Arkansas's governor signs near total abortion ban into law. So this was March that this was written. So Little Rock, Arkansas's governor Asa Hutchinson on Tuesday signed into law legislation banning nearly all abortions in the state. Why do you have to knock your food out of the bowl? And then drop it on the floor. My dog's a jerk. Fuck. God damn it. Okay. Nearly all abortions in the state, a sweeping measure that reporters hope will force the U.S. Supreme Court to revisit its landmark Roe v. Wade decision, but opponents vow to block it before it takes effect later this year. The Republican governor has expressed reservations about the bill, which only allows the procedure to save the life of the mother and does not provide exceptions for those impregnated in an act of rape or incest. You notice now there's also nothing about age in there, right? So there's nothing saying that if you're a young girl, like, I mean girl, I don't mean woman, I mean girl, and you're like raped by a family member, nope, you gotta carry that, even at whatever procedure to save the life, which means that you are currently dying. If we don't do this, you are going to die. Not, oh no, we foresee problems. No. Oh god, everything about this is gross. I really don't like arguing from the ick factor, so I won't. But this is. Everything about this is not... I would hope you would have reservations about instituting something like this. Jamie Russell for 5 says, I lack belief in liquidating human assets. Arkansas is one of at least 14 states where legislators have proposed outright abortion bans this year. Hutchinson said he was signing the bill because of its overwhelming legislative support and my sincere and long-held pro-life convictions. What support? I don't believe you. I feel like he said that, and I don't believe that that's true. Hutchinson said that he... no, I just read it. The bans were pushed by Republicans who want to force the U.S. Supreme Court to revisit its 1973 Roe v. Wade decision legislating abortion nationwide. Conservatives believe the court is more open... Oh, hey, are you here to get your boops? You get 3. Boop, boop, boop. Here you go. 4. Boop. Petition to change Arkansas to be spelled Arkansas. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Inkboy for 2. Oh, God. Okay. Conservatives believe the court is more open to striking down the decision following former President Donald Trump's 3 appointments to the court. Yeah, so they're trying to say that, well, we've got 3 additional Republicans in the Supreme Court, so we want to push this through, so that way they can... They're banking that they're going to vote to overturn that because of Donald Trump's appointees. Now, like I said before, I don't particularly care when you want to say life starts at. I think that's an entirely different discussion, and I feel like there's probably that's a philosophical / biological discussion that you're better off to let professionals sort of have that discussion. People who are people who know the science, people who have the chops to have that discussion. Like if I've had the discussion about abortion before, and I never really had a problem with people's definition about when life starts. I like that doesn't matter to me, because in my brain it's more of a pragmatic conversation of like what is going to be the most effective way to get what you want, and what is it that you want. If you want less abortions, then do social service stuff. If you want more abortions, do less sex education. That seems to be the case, but I don't see Democrats going around, or people who are pro-choice going around saying, let's have less sexual education. That doesn't seem to be the case. So, but yeah, Smitty's right. I feel like it's mostly a biological discussion. You would have to have a little bit of philosophy in it, because you have to start, you have to kind of discuss whether or not what is life, and when does it start counting, is kind of a little bit more of a philosophical discussion. But it'd be philosophy and biology. I think you need both. We must abolish abortion in this nation, just as we abolished slavery in the 19th century. All lives matter. Oh, God, I just cringed out of my skin. No, why would you say that? I don't understand America. What even is Arkansas? Is Arkansas a real place? Why would you say that? Republican Senator Jason Rappert the bill's sponsor said in a statement. Why would you say that? No. Okay. Alright, sure. Fine. What the fuck? I don't know. Hutchinson has signed several major abortion restrictions into law since taking office in 2015. But who votes for these people? Oh my God, I'm down to have smaller government. I'm not even like against anything like that, but like this is maybe it's just a fundamental disagreement on the way to do that. I mean, pretty much politics is all corrupt nonsense anyway, but like, God. Arkansas didn't abolish slavery. The North abolished it for them. God, what? Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit saucy, and I'm gonna say, did these people want to abolish abortion because they're afraid that they would have been aborted if their parents were given the opportunity? God, I mean, I'm kind of curious to look up how old this person is, just to see if, like, women had the right to divorce in Arkansas when this person was even born. I'm curious. That's sassy. Okay. He repeated those concerns as he announced his decision. Oh, sorry, I jumped a spot. Sorry. Hutchinson has signed several major abortion restrictions into law since taking office in 2015, but he has voiced concerns that the bill directly challenges Roe and about the lack of rape and incest exceptions. Oh, so you signed it, but you were like, nah, this is kind of problematic, though. Then why would you... He repeated those concerns as he announced the decision. The ban is in contradiction of binding precedents of the U.S. Supreme Court, but it is the intent of the legislation to set the stage for the Supreme Court overturning current case law, end quote. He said in a statement released by his office, quote, I would have preferred the legislation to include the exceptions for rape and incest, which has been my consistent view, and such exceptions would increase the chance for review by the U.S. Supreme Court. As the legislature considered the measure, Hutchinson shared with lawmakers a letter written by an attorney for abortion opponents' national right to life that said the chances of the bill leading to Roe being overturned were, quote, very small and remote. National Right to Life didn't take a position on the bill, though its Arkansas affiliate supported the ban. The legislation won't take effect until 90 days after the majority Republican legislature adjourns this year's session. That means it can't be enforced until this summer at the earliest. Abortion rights supporters said they plan to challenge the ban in court before then. Yeah, of course. The American Civil Liberties Union of Arkansas called the ban cruel and unconstitutional. This, to me, is all just a song and dance and waste of taxpayer money. There are ways to get what you want, and instead of trying to get what you want, you've narrowed your vision and your tunnel vision on this Roe v. Wade thing. If your goal is less abortions, then do things that are going to get you less abortions. What you're doing is clearly not working, and you're just wasting everybody's time and money, and you're stressing people out for no reason. Stop it. Rodent no last name for 5 said, quote, who would vote for these people? People crazier and more extreme than they are. Sad face. And a boop for the dog. Boop. I'm behind 240th trimester abortions in the case of this Republican. Oof. Quote, Governor Hutchinson will see you in court, ACLU of Arkansas's executive director Holly Dickinson said. See you in court. That's so... It sounds like something out of a movie. This is politics at its very worst, Alexis McGill Johnson, president of Planned Parenthood Action Fund, said in a statement. At a time when people need economic relief and basic safety precautions, dismantling abortion access is cruel, dangerous, and blatantly unjust, end quote. That's a good point. There's other things going on right now. I get that you seem to care about this, supposedly, but can we maybe deal with the current crises? Hutchinson had until Wednesday afternoon to take action on the bill before it would have become law without his signature. A move past governors have taken to express displeasure with a bill without risking an override fight with the legislator. It takes a simple majority for the legislature to override a governor's veto in Arkansas. Arkansas has some of the strictest abortion measures in the country, and around 2 years ago, Hutchinson signed into law a measure that would ban the procedure if the Roe decision was overturned. So there's already something set up if Roe ever gets overturned in Arkansas, because of course this is the most important thing going on in Arkansas, I guess. I mean, they had to not make an exception for and consider exceptions for rape and incest because that's a thing, and they're not focusing on fixing that as a problem. But this is where they're at. Throw a dwarf for 2, and stress hurts babies, so go to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Yeah, what are you gonna do? What happens if I guess that would be considered miscarriage. Does miscarriage... God, where was that? That was was that a year, 2 years ago now? 2020 is a blur. There was something that I read about a law that was getting... Maybe it wasn't in America. It might have been somewhere in Europe that was talking about making miscarriages punishable, like criminal. And it's like, what? Like sending people who had miscarriages to jail? And it was like, what? And it had something to do with oh no, it's negligence on the woman's part. And it's like, what? Huh? I don't know. I don't know how you would even discern that, because I maybe there's some degree of neglect you could say that happens if you purposefully starve yourself or something. That I don't know. If I purposefully threw myself down some stairs, I don't know. Another measure Hutchinson signed in 2019 banning abortion after 18 weeks of pregnancy is on hold due to legal challenge. Yeah, because there's something to be said for how long it takes before you know you're pregnant, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That sounds like Poland. Maybe. It's Arkansas. Incest is mandatory. Oh, that's just mean. Several other restrictions are still being considered in the legislature, including one approved by the Senate a day earlier that would require a woman having an abortion to first be shown an ultrasound. That is the most annoying, asinine, emotionally manipulative garbage you could... that's so it's just douchey. Another sweeping abortion ban was signed into law by South Carolina's governor last month, but was quickly blocked by a federal judge due to a legal challenge by Planned Parenthood. Alabama enacted a near total ban on abortions in 2019 that has been blocked because of court challenges. And then that's other articles. God damn it, Arkansas. This is the guy. This is a picture of him in 2020. I wonder if his mom was allowed to divorce, or if that hadn't been signed yet, or wasn't allowed in Arkansas yet. Is divorce allowed in Arkansas? I'm starting to question everything that I know about Arkansas because I don't know anything about Arkansas. All right. Just this week, Arkansas Governor Hutchinson, a Republican, signed into law a bill that bans nearly all abortions in the state. In a statement regarding the new law, Hutchinson expressly stated that he hoped the law would be challenged. The abortion ban is, quote, is in contradiction of binding precedents of the U.S. Supreme Court, but it is the intention of the legislation to set the stage for the Supreme Court overturning current case law, end quote, Hutchinson said in the statement, which we took a look at, and that is, all of this nonsense. I don't think we need to read that one also. Jessica Mason Pyklo? Executive editor at Rewire News Group, a reproductive rights-focused media organization, noted in a tweet that the American Civil Liberties Union of Arkansas was already planning to challenge it, but Jessica, I'm saying Jessica because I don't know how to pronounce her last name, also worried over how far legal challenges would advance, particularly within conservative leading federal courts. Quote, the question is, what will the Trump judges on the 8th Circuit do, and what toll will that take on patients and providers, she asked in her tweet. So here's the tweet. The ban is set to take effect in August, and the ACLU has already promised a challenge. Abortion is still legal in Arkansas. But the question is, what will Trump judges on the 8th Circuit do, and what toll they may... Oh, that's why it was in brackets. Thanks, autocorrect. What toll will that take on patients and providers? And here's the... what this links to. Arkansas passes a ban, and this goes to this, which is... the one it's not the one we were already looking at, but it's this one we were already looking at, just a different article. So there's a little bit of a pipe you guys can follow if you're interested in following all of what's everybody's saying. So it looks like there's a slew of people that reported on it, and it seems to be, the stuff that I've looked at least is relatively consistent, and doesn't seem like there's any opposing, there doesn't seem to be any opposing articles that are no, that's not what this does. So it doesn't look like the articles that I found or what we're talking about today have anything that's a direct contradiction saying no, that's not what this is saying. It actually this, and this. So within the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, 10 of the 11 active judges are appointees of Republican presidents, including George W. Bush and Donald Trump. As recently as December, the court ruled in ways that would allow Arkansas to enact other strict measures regarding abortion, including banning the practice after 14 weeks of pregnancy. Okay, so 14 weeks of pregnancy. Okay, I don't know how much you guys know about the female menstrual cycle, but you can get pregnant pretty well anywhere within that cycle. There are times where it's more likely that you're going to get pregnant, and times when you're less likely you're going to get pregnant, but you can pretty well get pregnant at any time. So you can get it pretty narrowed down, but as an overarching basic understanding of female anatomy, you can pretty well get pregnant at any time. So the your period takes, let's say, a week. So let just to keep it even, you've got 4 weeks, 7 days each, right? So one of them, you have a period. If you've only got 14 weeks of pregnancy to figure out what's going on, if that's only 2 weeks. So you could get pregnant at the very end of your period, and you won't know that you're pregnant for at least 3 weeks. Maybe, and because sometimes not everybody has an exact 4 week cycle. Not everybody cycles in exactly a month. So some people have like 32 days, and some people have like 28 days, and somewhere in between. And sometimes that fluctuates, and depending on what's going on with your life, with stress or whatever, you might have a period earlier, you might have a period later. So if you, like, it's not, I get the feeling these people don't have any understanding of like basic women biology. Like that you don't like some people can get it like down to an art. Some people have it like, no, I know exactly when my period's gonna be. It's scheduled the exact time every day, all the time. I know exactly what's going on. It's never changed. I'm just that regular. Not everybody is like that. Sometimes there's a week fluctuation between when your period is. So if you get pregnant at the end of this one, but your period isn't expected to show up until like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's an extra week there, you won't know you're pregnant for nearly a month. So this 14-week pregnancy thing is this is just garbage. Like, this is let alone that you've got to schedule an appointment, and when they're limiting people's capacity and limiting the availability of abortions, they're basically trying to force a situation where not only can you not get an appointment early enough to find out that you're pregnant, but also to talk to someone like Planned Parenthood to be able to get an abortion and then schedule that abortion, and it all has to be done within a time that you might not a time frame that you may not even be aware that you're pregnant. Some people, when they're pregnant, have something that's called spotting, and so they'll think that if you have a light period, like, so some people don't have heavy flow, some people have light flow. And so if you have a light flow, you could get that well pregnant because it's a light flow. So what's happening is you're spotting, but you don't know that you're spotting because you've never been pregnant before. This is unacceptable just on a pragmatic stance. If you're going to allow abortions, this is not the way to do it, because you're going out of your way to not allow abortion. Like, this is just nonsense. This is complete nonsense. Helios for 2 said 14 weeks or days. One is 2 weeks or 3.5. Oh, did I misread it? And it's 14 weeks. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's 14 weeks. I read this as my brain went 14 days. So yeah, 14 weeks changes that. So 14 weeks moves it to, yes, 3 months. So if it's 3 months, that's way easier to manage. Still nonsense for way less reasons. So 14 weeks gives you, some women, as far as I know, this is not very common, but they have an every other month. So if they miss 1 month, it's not terribly unusual, or they find out halfway through a month and it's not terribly unusual. But that makes it a lot easier, but still does not make it very easy for you to be able to schedule appointments, especially when you've legislated limited locations. But yeah, 14 weeks is way better than 14 days. I definitely read that. Helios is right. I read that as 14 days, not weeks. Thank you for the correction. I still think this is nonsense, but it's definitely not as nonsense as I was initially thinking. This was written by somebody named Chris Walker, by the way. So, yeah, that's the end of the article. It kind of ends in a weird spot, but I still don't think this is enough time for family planning, let alone, like, emotional stress. Actually, I wouldn't mind having a conversation with a couple people. If anybody's interested in having a conversation about 14 weeks versus 18 versus, like, at what point is like, or even is there a point where abortion should not be allotted, and why? Because I'm not sure there's very good argumentation as to like why you would allow at one point versus why you wouldn't allow it at another point. So I would be curious to have that conversation with people who have opinions about when and if. So whatever your position is, I'm drinking Moosehead. Whatever your position is, I would love to hear. I would like to hear a couple of different positions. So if you are maybe a little bit more on the conservative side and don't think that abortion should be a thing, please reach out and talk to me. Because I mean I can agree with that you want to have less abortions, but if you want to come on and talk about like how to go about that, I would love to have a conversation with you. If you are somebody who thinks that abortion should be allowed only up till a certain point, I would love to have a conversation with you. Come on, we can all have, like, I would love to sit down and actually just have a conversation about this, not a debate. I'm not looking at it, I'm not interested in having like an argument about it, but I am interested in hearing different people's points of view and sort of what their thoughts are. If you're a female and want to talk about it, I would love to do a that time of the month episode. If we can get a bunch of women to come on to talk about it. If you are not a whammons, I would also be interested in talking to you and hearing your opinion. I would just want to schedule it differently. So if you can let me know whereabouts that would be, because it sets up just a different tone to the conversation. And I'm certainly interested no matter what your gender is. What your gender may or may not be, I'm interested in your opinion. I just have like a way I like to keep my stuff organized. So if you're interested in having more of a conversation about this, please reach out to me. Leave a message to me in the comment section about what your thoughts are. I do want to look at this guy, though. So Chris Walker, he or she, I don't know. Let's click on him. Let's read about this author, because I do think that this article is a little bit not worded the greatest when it comes. I think it's a little bit sensationalized. So Chris Walker is a news writer at Truth Out and is based out of Madison, Wisconsin. Focused on both national and local topics since the early 2000s, he has produced thousands of articles analyzing the issues of the day and their impact on the American people. Is this just... Oh, so these are some of the articles he's written. It really doesn't say much about this person. Like, their political affiliation, where they came from, anything. Like, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot about them. I don't even know why they had about more. Okay, so GOP senator blocks bill to protect stimulus checks from debt collectors. Ooh, that's shitty. 21 states sue Biden in attempt to revive Keystone Pipeline. Okay. QAnon conspiracy theorists doubt Trump's endorsement of vaccines was real. That's just funny. 1 year into pandemic, 109 Democrats get behind renewed Medicare for All effort. So, like, the thing is though, now I'm skeptical about any of this guy's headlines. And I feel bad about this because, I understand. Like, I get it. We live in sort of a clickbait world and sensationalized world, but if you can avoid sensationalizing something, I think you ought to. But, that's just not the realistic anymore. Wisconsin GOP rejects Black History Month resolution but honors Rush Limbaugh. Oh, okay. Biden wants the filibuster to remain in place but says he supports reforming it. That's interesting. I'd be curious to see about that. So I'll drop this guy's stuff here if you guys are interested in looking more into that, what that author has put out. If you want to let me know in the comments what you would like to cover, if anything, if you see any of these that you like or think are interesting or worth talking about. I would like to have a little bit more of I feel like we haven't really had that much of a discussion about abortion. I don't know if we really talked about it on this channel too much at all. But like I said, I was just trying to get out like this particular situation because Texas, can you guys get your shit together a little bit, please, for like even just a couple of days? Residence for 10 said, not to mention the medical costs of just giving birth are upwards of $10,000 or more, depending on where you live / insurance, etc. Guess what it costs here in Australia? $0. Yes, that is a huge thing. So not only are you imposing physical and financial strain after pregnancy, but are Republicans going to are Republicans going to pony up the cost of birthing all of those children? Because I would be curious. Like, are you going to put a fund together that's going to pay for all births and make birth and pregnancy free for women in Texas? Because now you've got a situation where you have to keep the child and after birth, but you've also got to get to that point, which means that all the appointments that you have to make, any kind of medication, or if you go to a nutrition, because some people want to know what to eat and like what is going to be the healthiest route for them to take, any kind of exercise, any kind of lessons about childcare. Is lessons about childcare for parents going to be free? Are they going to pay for education and give free education to parents, and like for being pregnant, but also for childcare, like early developmental childcare, like any kind of medication that may or may not be needed, the actual birthing themselves in the hospital stay while they're there. Is the Texas government going to pay for all that? Like, if you want less abortions, that might be the way to do it, because that would take a huge financial strain off of the people who are getting pregnant. I don't know. This is the conversation that I think would be valuable to have. So if you are pro-life, anti-choice, however you want to put it, if you are pro-choice, if you're like, I've never met anybody who is pro-abortion. So if you're pro-abortion, I wouldn't mind having a conversation with you. But hit me up in the comments down below, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. T-shirts and merch is now available. So if you're interested in having a little pocket goblin with you everywhere you go, you can go and get one of those. There's stuff for Puck down there. Also, he needs a boop. Boop. I missed. Boop. But yeah, no, I would be interested in having this conversation, because I would need somebody who's up for, like, somebody who's pro banning abortion to sit down and have a conversation with me about why they think that's an effective method, because it does not seem like an effective method to me to get what you want. But yeah, if you're interested in this conversation, if you think that Texas doesn't
got a psychological problem with women,
then I would love to have that conversation with you. If you are interested in talking about other topics, please let me know. Just hit me up either on Twitter or Discord. Become a member to join my particular Discord, but if you want to just find me on Discord, that doesn't cost you anything. You can go there. You get access to art and D&D stuff and all kinds of nonsense. You can also become a Patreon if you don't want to do membership, whatever works for you. And thanks for coming. And like I said, I would love to have a little bit more of discussion on this. Again, I'm not interested in debate. I'm not really interested in like arguing with people about it, but I'd love to hear what people have to say. So if you're interested in talking about that, please let me know. I'm more than happy to host and have that conversation. And I will see you guys. Oh, I should tell you, I'm working on something, and it's related to Jordan Peterson. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Okay, bye!